At what stage in your life did you begin living for others? The attention of girls, the praise of teachers, the validation of your parents. It all begins very young as we learn how to give and receive love and attachment from our parents. From the ages of 0 to 3, our brains develop rapidly and our attachment styles begin to formulate. As we grow up, we learn to mimic behaviours, patterns and traits that gives us the most reward. We want to feel heard, we want to feel understood, we want to feel a part of wherever we belong. As you grow up and go to school, you want to fit into social groups, and you bend and twist and conform in minor ways to adjust your behaviour so that you are deemed acceptable by the group. Over time, these standards and pressures also continue to evolve, and you in turn evolve with them. Alongside increasingly subconscious pressures both from society and from within, you head into your teenage years, where the pressure only continues. You become more self-aware, you begin to feel these urges of teenagehood that I'm sure we've all experienced, and we start to care more and more about how we dress, what we say, and what we do for the opposite sex. We need to pass the exams. We need to begin doing chores. We need to start doing jobs. We need to take our place into the world, gradually developing the skills to approach what it takes to be an adult. In a school system which values conformity and punishes deviation, we are taught to suppress our inner emotions and desires in order to pass the test and meet the standard that is set for us by the curriculum. At what point along this journey has there been opportunity for you to be introspective, to reflect on what it is that you truly would like to pick and pursue, how you would truly like to spend your time if you were unconstrained, and what life would be like without this parental, teacher, peer group pressure of what you should be doing? And so if what I've described sounds like something you've been through, I'm here to tell you that's okay. That's been my experience as well. Whilst I did have the opportunity to explore my creative capacity and my passions and my desires and what I would truly want to pursue and spend my time doing, those things were always on the side. They were always secondary, and passing the test and ensuring I was looking good for others was always the primary objective. It wasn't until I got into my first relationship at 17 that I began reflecting on who I was at a deeper level. Truth be told, it wasn't until I broke up with her nearly 1 year later that my whole world came crashing down. From living a relatively sheltered and privileged life, conforming to the standard, and just living up to other people's expectations, all that was kind of torn apart, and I was forced to reevaluate who I am, what I stand for, and how I'd like to spend my time. Ultimately where I'm placing my value and my identity, and what I want my life to look like. I think we've all experienced that initial heartbreak when you lose someone you love. It's almost like the feeling of grief. You're grieving for someone who is no longer in your life. But it's even worse because you still have to see them every day. And you hear friends and people around school spreading rumours and gossiping, and it's almost this unspoken, sinking, deathly feeling that means you cannot concentrate, you cannot keep your mind off it whatsoever. It's the first thing you think about when you wake up, it's the last thing you think about before you go to bed. You're spending time on YouTube and blogs trying to find the answers of how do I get her back, how do I make myself not want her anymore, how do I feel better, how do I move forward with my life. Where's my identity? It's in the aftermath of this, for me, that I began my self-development journey, which I've now been on for probably 4 or 5 years, as I've looked to examine every aspect of my life and just ask the question, why? Like, why am I doing this thing? Why am I behaving in this way? Why am I wanting to show to other people that I am appearing in this way? And it's interesting to peel back the layers of what things I've taken on board from that journey, as I described, from 0 to 18, that's been programmed into me that isn't my true calling versus what my innate nature is. And I think it's very helpful in these moments of relative crisis, and I say crisis, not really a crisis, but when you have your heart broken, you're wondering who you are, to reflect back on what you did as a child, when those constraints weren't placed on you, in those moments, however few and far between, that you were left to your own devices to see what you could come up with creatively. What were your true passions? What made you come alive? For me, it was always storytelling. It was always creating and crafting something for others. It was always understanding people, asking why, going deeper. And I think 4 or 5 years later, from that canon moment, Many of those things are emerging in how I'm spending my time. I'm pursuing a career as a clinical psychologist, I've got a podcast, and I love editing and doing freelance work. And all those things that I did unconstrained at childhood is what I'm so privileged and grateful to be either doing now or on my way to pursuing. And whilst I don't regret any single moment of the journey up until now, because I wouldn't be where I am and who I am and the direction that I'm going in without those things happening and forcing me to be reflective, it does pose the question as to why it's taken me until 22 to realise this is my life's calling and these are the things that I know I can specialise in. Why was I not doing this more at 12, at 15, even at 18? Why did it take such a long time for me to undo all of the programming of comfort, of choosing the safe option of going to politics and economics and going to do a degree, moving out, which all these things I'm not saying are bad things. They certainly weren't bad for me, as I said. But surely there must be a better way of us doing this so that in those formative years and throughout childhood, we place less pressure on the expectations of others when it comes to specific choices of how we spend our free time and what makes us come alive, and that we can choose more precisely, specialise earlier, so we can double down on our career pursuits sooner and really craft our skill set so that we can not only be of value for others, but we can feel peace and contentment within. We currently have a generation of people in their 40s, 50s and 60s who harp on about how their 20s were the best years of their life. And I hate that. And they say, your metabolism slows down when you get to my age. And I hate that too. You know why? Because now I've unwound from the matrix, if you want to call it that. I've seen countless examples on podcasts, on YouTube videos, on stages of people who defy those odds, who spend their 40s, 50s and 60s continuing to level up, gain leverage and lead more fulfilled, happy, purposeful, helpful lives in the speciality that they would have pursued as children. Likewise, people in their 50s and 60s running marathons, running ultramarathons, doing Ironmans, benching incredible amounts of weight, entering competitions, moving freely, eating healthily, being content with the life they lead, the body they live that in, and who they are. And so it takes a process of unwinding from that, and I'm incredibly privileged to have lived in a time where we have infinite abundant access to the internet. There's literally no excuse. You can see role models and examples, you can break free of the social conditioning, whether it's small town syndrome of I can never leave this place, this is all there is, or this is all the opportunity, and the social expectations and pressures that are placed on you, again, potentially by good intention, by family members, by school, by peers. Just remember, family and friends will want the safe option for you because they love you and trust you, and they know that out there is risky, and they want to keep you safe. But also, you need to recognise that where there's risk, there's reward. And I'm not just saying materialistic reward, I'm not saying financial provision, although those things might be derived from the purposeful mission that you pursue. But on the flip side of that risk is reward when it comes to satisfaction, fulfillment and purpose, and actually being of value to others, actually being able to serve others in a capacity that you are most best gifted to do so, because those are the skills that have been endowed on you from birth and your environment growing up. I think it's deeply saddening when I hear stories of these guys in their 40s, 50s and 60s who hate their jobs, who are stuck. They've snookered themselves in this position with financial responsibility, with families, which are great things again. But they're in a position where they no longer have the freedom from constraint to choose the things that they know deep down will be best for them and best for others. Because they came from a system where they believed the lie that there was all that was. They believed the social conditioning. They believed that you should care too much about what others think. You should chase the women. You should chase the materialism. You should get a secure job. You should get the least car on the drive. And all of those things are not necessarily bad. But if you believe them without questioning it, you are damning your soul to a life beyond your 40s of misery. And I don't want that for you. I know you watching this right now, wherever you are in life, but particularly young men. There is so much more to life than ticking boxes. There is so much more to life than living for the expectations and pressures of others. There is so much more. There is so much more. And this is a continual process. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but what I am saying is that there's something deeply saddening about looking back at the school system and the societal pressure that I allowed myself to internalise and project, only to come crashing down at 18 and 19 and 20 and trying to work through those things. I think that's sad. I think it's sad that so many people have to go through that without realising that there is more. But also, I think it's exciting that our generation has the opportunity to turn that around. We have the opportunity to reprogram ourselves, to look beyond our current circumstances, to do the introspective work, to establish where these traits and behaviours and thoughts and ideas and beliefs and values come from within our childhood, scrutinise them, double down on the ones that we know to be true, have an open mind, have strong views loosely held rather than loose views strongly held, and move forward into the world with purposeful mission, knowing that we are stepping into what we are truly called to be. Whoever you are watching this right now, I hope this message encourages you to break free of the shackles you have either put on yourself or society, family and friends have put on you, because ultimately they don't know you, they don't sit inside your head. They may want what's best for you, but only you know what's best for you. Only you know what's been placed on your heart. And turning back to childhood, what you would do if there was no financial constraint. And I also appreciate bills need to be paid. Responsibility and time may have been accumulated. But if you can sit down and audit your life and look at how you're spending your hours, chances are you're probably watching this on your phone or the computer. Okay, has this been a series of videos you've binge watched just to feel better about yourself? How much time have you spent on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, etc. today? Could you use that time outside of work to use the abundant source that is Google to look up what the courses I need to complete, what the skills I need to acquire, what are the opportunities out there in order to advance? Follow the right people, follow the right pages, follow the right advice, get into those circles, surround yourself with people on that same mission. And I guarantee within 6 months you will live a happier, peaceful and more meaningful life. And that doesn't mean an easier life. That means a challenging life. That means a life that has ups and downs and heartbreak and risk. But ultimately that is a life more aligned with who you truly are and what you're called to be. So I hope if this video does nothing else, it serves as a reminder to you that anything is possible if you put your mind to it, and only you can hold yourself back. Break free of the expectations that others and yourself have put on you. Do the internal work and let me know how it goes.